Hello students, welcome back to my English learning channel. Today I wanted to talk about something a little different. It's not a lesson per se, but it's something I think we should talk about. For a while now on YouTube, I've seen lots of videos questioning whether people should learn from non-native English speakers. And I've seen a lot of videos calling out non-native English speakers' mistakes. For example, people who teach on YouTube. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit and go over what I think are the pros and cons of having a native English teacher versus a non-native English teacher. I know some of my students who are learning English, they also want to be English teachers, and that's the reason that they're studying English. So I want to encourage those people. You can definitely become an English teacher, and I fully support you. If you go to my website, I have free resources for people learning English and also people who want to be teachers. I have PDFs available to help you teach students. So I'll link that below and you can go check out whatever lesson that suits your needs. So why I want to talk about this today is because recently on YouTube, I've seen this huge debate going on. There are some very famous English teaching YouTubers. For example, if you know Linguamarina, she's a very famous teacher on YouTube. I think she's originally from Russia, and she makes videos teaching English. I'll leave her link in the description, so please check her out. I think she's a very good teacher. And I've seen some other videos criticizing her and correcting all of her mistakes. They're picking out every single mistake she makes when she talks and correcting them. I don't think it's a bad thing to correct someone's mistakes, but I also don't want students to think they can never make mistakes. Because mistakes happen, that's natural. I make mistakes. I'm a native English speaker and I make mistakes. I watch YouTube and I hear other native English speakers making mistakes. Sometimes we forget the correct grammar rules or we forget the correct vocabulary. That's going to happen. No matter what, that will happen. So I think it's important to see the benefits of both sides and see what's going to work for you. So the question of whether students should have a non-native English teacher or a native English teacher has long been debated. And I think both types of teachers have their advantages and disadvantages. So I'm going to talk about native English speakers first. So what do we consider a native English speaker? So someone who was born in an English-speaking country, for example, the United States, Australia, Canada, England, those would be native English speakers. So they have a natural understanding of the language and they can provide students with insights to culture, idioms, and subtle nuances. So what are the pros of having a native English speaker as a teacher? So the first one would be natural fluency. Native English speakers just know what sounds right. They know what sounds wrong. They can tell you very quickly, no, that's wrong. Yep, that's right. Can't understand you. I can understand you. They have an intuitive understanding. They also have cultural insight. So when you really want to master a language, understanding the culture, understanding idioms, understanding those language nuances, those really help you to master a language, and native speakers have that ready to go. It naturally comes to them. Also, authentic pronunciation. That is a big pro. If you really want to study authentic pronunciation, then a native English speaker as a teacher might be the best route for you. And that will really help you with your speaking skills and your listening skills. So what are the negatives of having a native English speaker as a teacher? Well, one would be lack of awareness of grammar rules. A lot of native English speakers don't think about grammar. So unless they are a qualified teacher, they may have trouble explaining grammar rules to you, and they just might not be aware of the grammar rules. And lots of native speakers make mistakes with grammar all the time. Language variation is another issue. when it comes to English, there are lots of variations of the English language. So my English, I'm an American, I'm from Wisconsin. It might be different from somebody who lives in Australia. We probably can understand each other, but there are going to be some words, vocabulary, pronunciation, intonation that are different. So this can be really confusing for students. Another con is the high cost. So having a native English speaker teaching you English is probably going to cost more than a non-native speaker. They're in high demand, so the services can be quite expensive. So what about non-native English teachers? So non-native English teachers might not have the same level of fluency and natural understanding as a native speaker would, but they really do have a unique perspective. So let's look at the pros first. The first one would be a relatable experience. Non-native English teachers had to learn the language themselves, so they can understand what the students are going through, they can relate to them, and they have a better understanding of maybe how to teach them because of that experience. They also can explain grammar rules much better. A lot of non-native English teachers have a better understanding of the grammar rules and can make them easily accessible for students. Also very cost-effective, since non-native English teachers tend to be more affordable. So let's look at the negatives. One could be pronunciation issues. Non-native English speakers may have a different pronunciation than native speakers, and that might cause some issues, but I think as long as you can understand each other, then it's not that big of a problem. They also might have limited cultural insight. Like I said, native speakers that grew up in an English-speaking country will have those cultural understandings, and some non-native speakers might not have the same cultural understandings. So it all depends on where people grew up or how they learned English, where they were raised. So that might or might not be an issue. Another negative is they might make mistakes when speaking, but I think that would be the same for native speakers as well. A lot of times when people speak, we don't have a script prepared. So some people stumble over their words and they can make mistakes. So I think that's the same for native speakers and non-native speakers. However, in a teaching setting, if you make mistakes while teaching, that might be considered a negative. So which one should you go for? Native English teacher or non-native English teacher? I think that is up to you. So I think it depends on what you're looking for in a teacher. Are you looking for perfection, perfect pronunciation, perfect grammar, perfect vocabulary? Or are you looking for someone who can easily explain things or be relatable to you, have the same experiences as you? You have to think about those things and then apply it to your search for an English teacher. Okay, so please let me know in the comments, which one would you choose? Do you want to have a native English teacher or a non-native English teacher? Are you yourself studying to be a teacher? Let me know. You can find my blog for this video in the comments below. I'll link it there for you. You can go there, you can read everything that I had to say. I know sometimes just listening, it's hard to catch every single word. So if you go read my blog, you can see everything that I have said all written out nicely. And I have a ton of other free lessons on my blog, so go check that out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to see what you have to say in the comments. Bye, everyone.